there and welcome to yarnspirations.com. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a quick look at how to make knitted I-cord. Before we get too far along, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel for fresh content on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny crafts weekly. So to make knitted I-cord, it's easiest to do it on DPNs, double pointed needles, because they're short. And one of the things it's hard to wrap your brain around in is that you are not turning the work. So I'm using 5 stitches for the purpose of this demonstration, but it doesn't have to be 5, it could be 3 or 4. Although generally I prefer an odd number because I think it looks a little more even. And I don't know that I'd go too much higher than 5. The more stitches in the I-cord, the more difficult it is to work. So I've cast on my 5 stitches. I have used a knitted on cast on, while those of you who know me know that I'm usually long tail all the way for everything. I find that if I long tail, it gives me a little garter stitch ridge on the first row, which I do not love. So I did a knitted on cast on. You can use the cast on of your choice. Again, I would just stay away from the long tail. So I have knit my 5 stitches. So instead of turning the work, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to slide the work so that it is on the other side of the double pointed needle. So my working yarn is way over here on the left, but I'm knitting on the right. Now, I give this a big serious tug. I pull this very tightly because I do not want it to ladder. So there's my, I'm just going to knit 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to give that a little tug down. Let's take a look at the back. So you can see the working yarn's gone across the back. It's kind of loose here, but it will get tighter as we go. So I'm going to, so it was here. I'm going to slide it back to the right hand side of the needle. So the work does not turn, and I'm going to pull like heck on that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and really it doesn't look like much until you get a couple of rows in. 5, slide. Now you could do this on circular needles if you had to, if you didn't have your DPNs around. If you had 2 circular needles, it depends on what your needle stash looks like. But the DPNs is definitely easier just because they're short and small and compact. Slide it over. Pull tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or how many stitches you have done. Now again, when I'm getting it started, I like to give a tug on the beginning to get it to come down. So let's take a look and see what the back looks like. And there it is. There's our I-cord. Now again, the reason I'm tugging so tightly right there is I do not want it to ladder. And by ladder, I mean I don't want to see the horizontal bars. If you're too loose, then that happens, and that is not as appealing. So that's why I tug so tightly on that very first stitch. But again, once you get the hang of it and you develop a rhythm, just give it a tug down. It makes all those little ladders disappear. And you can knit this as long as it needs to be. And then when it's time to cast off, you can cast off like you normally would. But to keep that round shape, let's see if I can use the right words. If you cast off across, it's kind of flat at the top, and we don't want flat, we want a cord. So generally what I do if I'm going to bind off or cast off an I-cord, sliding it over, I will cut a tail of the working yarn 6 to 8 inches long and thread that on a tapestry needle, and I will pull that tapestry needle through all 5 stitches and pull it off tight, and then weave in the end to knot it off, because that gives you a little tube at the top as opposed to making it flat. Now we use the I-cord in all kinds of projects, so don't get attached to it only being 1 yarn or 1 size of needles. We use it all over the place. But it's a very simple skill, but it's one of those things. It's just so much easier if you watch it as opposed to trying to read the words, because your brain goes, what? I don't turn? How is that a thing? So I'm going to give it a nice vertical tug. Here's the front of my work. And again, I'm saying front and back because this is the side that is away from me, but you can see there is no front and back to the tube. It's just a tube. So that's all you need to do, a knitted I-cord. Thank you so much for joining me here on yarnspirations.com. I'm Mary Beth Temple. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we'll see you again real soon.